Welcome back to GTD. I'm Micah Farmer, joined as always by Keegan
Owen
Miller.
Casey.
Yes, Owen Casey.
Yeah,
He's very excited about baseball, if you can't tell, but he's going to have to wait a minute because college football is back this week, and we're bringing college football back to GTD this week, getting ready for Week 0, and just like Week 0 gives you a little taste of the college football season, we're going to give you a quick little taste of our analysis as we head into the 2025 season. We're going to give you biggest surprise and snub in the college football initial top 25 AP poll, and then we're going to give you our national championship prediction. If you want to see our full playoff predictions and predictions for awards like the Heisman, check back next week before Week 1. So this is our little version of Week 0 for college football, and we're going to start it off with surprises and snubs, our biggest ones from the top 25. Keegan, who's your surprise?
Well, first and foremost, you mentioned college football is back, and it feels like home. Like this fall season,
yes.
It just feels like home. College football is back. The sports landscape is back. MLB division races are heating up. Playoffs are prominent. They're about to start. You know who the teams are, so MLB's kind of in its sprint season, I guess. Like everyone says, oh, baseball especially is not a sprint. It's a marathon, but now it seems like it is a sprint, and I love this part, just teams grinding it out. But college football is just – you have this, just all across the country. Yeah, I feel like maybe 20 years ago it was predominantly the SEC and Big Ten, but now with NIL, it's really got an opportunity to grow fan bases everywhere. You saw
and the SEC and Big Ten are not happy about it.
Right. You saw Boise State, what they were able to do, and the people that were following them just because of one dude. So it's going to be fun to see how this continues to grow and evolve with the NIL era and the transfer portal era.
The Texas Tech dynasty era.
Right, which in my opinion, and probably yours and a lot of other people, it's just going to make the football games itself, which is what we're watching, crazier. And with college football, can it get crazier? Yes, it can.
Please don't let the networks ruin everything,
Yeah.
and the SEC and the Big Ten ruin everything.
Yeah.
Just keep the sport together.
But before that happens, we have our biggest snubs and surprises in the AP preseason top 25. I say we start with biggest surprise.
Okay.
And then I'll bounce back to you after I mention Boise State being the biggest surprise because Ashton Genty's gone. And I know last year people were like, well, just stop Ashton Genty. And eventually that happened in the playoffs.
But it took a almost national championship caliber defense to do so.
Exactly. So it was very hard to stop Ashton Genty. Sire Gaines is not Ashton Genty. I'm sorry. So I think they're going to kind of try and play the same style they played last year with Sire Gaines, and it's just not going to work out for them. Teams are going to be ready for it. They know what Boise State's going to do when they play them. It's just like playing Indiana or Alabama back in the 1960s. You know what's going to happen, and you can stop it this time because he's just not Ashton Genty. And Maddox Madsen, I know a lot of people are high on him because of his numbers, his
Who's
stats.
high on Maddox Madsen?
There's some just stat watchers because they're like, oh, his yardage and everything last
I was
year.
going to say, if someone's high on Maddox Madsen, I'm revoking your college football card.
His yardage is from Ashton Genty. It was a 3-yard pass lob to Ashton Genty, who then took off for all those yards. So his numbers are inflated. Don't listen to those. Who's your biggest surprise?
Well, I do want to add a bit on Boise State. I don't think you'll see the exact same offense this year. I think the coaching staff also knows that Sire Gaines is not Ashton Genty. You'll see a bit of a different offensive approach. I'm just not sure Maddox Madsen has the capability to elevate them in that way, and so I am also surprised to see them there. I was almost going to put them as my surprise before I saw you got to the document first. It was like me with my SVG road course picks with NASCAR, but my surprise is going to be Texas Tech. I like a lot about this team. Baron Morton is a very, very good quarterback. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12 heading into this year. The issue is the talent on the defense is not developed yet. It's a lot of young kids, a lot of commits. You don't really have established talent there yet. You lose your big bell cow running back in Taj Brooks, and then they brought in a transfer from Southern Cal who just got injured, is now out for the season. So there's not going to be any running game support for Baron Morton. And granted, they didn't know about the running back injury at the time of this poll being made. But still, I'm not entirely sure Texas Tech is here yet. I think give it a couple years, if they can actually develop this talent, they'll be pretty solid. But even with a very experienced Baron Morton at the head, I just don't trust this team enough yet to call them a top 25 squad.
Yeah, and we learned last year that this new Big 12 it was a little rocky when it started last year, but it could shape up into some good competitive football. Like it's almost like the NL Central in baseball. It's just teams that you don't really look at the beginning of the year like that's like the World Series favorite, but then they just kind of cannibalize each other. and then you kind of find out who's the best team by them just obliterating each other throughout the season. And so I just don't see them being able to stay afloat in that type of environment with the talent they have. So I agree with you. But now on to the fun part, the snubs, teams that we get to talk about that aren't on the top 25. I'm going to let you go first this time.
All right, well, I'm going to stick in the Big 12, and it's going to be the Baylor Bears. I think Sawyer Robertson is a top 3 quarterback in this league. I have him third best behind Sam Leavitt and Josh Hoover of TCU. He is very, very accurate. Probably the second most accurate quarterback in the conference behind Josh Hoover. Can just pick defenses apart. Doesn't have the strongest arm, but the accuracy is way, way over average for him. Baylor started last year 2-4. He took him to a 6-0 run to end the season until the bowl game where they lost to LSU, but he threw for 445 in that game. So that's a great great quarterback to have, and they also have a very good running game. I know Dawson Pendergrass gets hurt, but he wasn't the number one guy anyway. That's Bryson Washington, who's incredibly talented. This Baylor team has some great linebackers. The defensive line isn't incredible, and I wouldn't say you have any superstar receivers. Kobe Prentice is there now, and I think he's solid at least, but I definitely think there is a lot to like with this Baylor team. And if you're telling me at the start of the season Baylor is worse than Texas Tech, Tennessee, Boise State, even Iowa State, I just don't agree with that. So I think the Bears definitely deserve a top 25 spot.
Well, it's no secret we go to Auburn. You're wearing an Auburn hat. There's Auburn crap everywhere. Who wins next Friday?
Well, Baylor's at home, and Baylor has a better quarterback, so give me the Bears.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Actually, that's my pick as well. If you're curious, my biggest snub, Georgia Tech. I know, like, Haynes King's back. He did incredible last year. This was I think the committee was between Boise State and Georgia Tech, and I think they just gave that slot to Boise State ultimately because of their product on the field last year.
I can tell you they were between Boise State and BYU because of the receiving vote section.
No, I mean non-Power 4, just like for that, like
Georgia Tech's an ACC team.
Oh, that's right, they are now.
They've been an ACC. Where are you at?
I don't
Georgia
know.
Tech's been an ACC team for decades.
I was thinking I had Memphis on my brain for some reason. I don't know why I had them in Memphis.
So are you talking about Georgia Tech or Memphis?
I'm talking about Georgia Tech. I don't know why I thought they were in Memphis' shoes.
Okay.
Georgia Tech. I could also argue the same thing about Memphis, about Boise State and Memphis being right there because,
Memphis
is more
the
talented.
Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Georgia Tech. Haynes King's back. He had the 13th best QBR in the league last year, beat Miami, almost beat Georgia. It came down to a coin flip.
Should have beat Georgia.
Yeah, it came down to a coin flip pretty much with Georgia. He only had 2 interceptions all of last season. That's incredibly difficult to do in college football. Like, that's a college quarterback doing that is really good. And it's not like he wasn't throwing the ball. Like, he did get hurt for a little bit, but he wasn't like out the whole season, came back for 3 games. Like, he was really good when he was on the field. And Jamal Haynes coming back, I think that's just dynamic as all get out. I honestly am shocked they're not in the top 25. I really do think that these two guys are gonna like force that. And I think they have a veteran offensive line coming back too. So I'm honestly this is my snub. Like, as soon as we said snub, I went immediately to Georgia Tech. I don't know how they're not in the top 25. I think they were last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they made the top 20. I think they were the 24 or 25 spot in the preseason top 25 last year. And they kind of have a very similar team. So,
well, my main issue with Georgia Tech is you've lost your best receiver in Eric Singleton Jr. now at Auburn. And for Georgia Tech as well, this isn't one of the better defenses in the ACC. I think the defense is going to struggle to hang a little bit. And while Haynes King is a very, very, very good rusher of the football for the quarterback position, I don't think he has the big playability with his arm to keep you in shootouts. Even though I think this offense can be dynamic in the running game, I'm just worried about if the defense falls, where do they keep up?
To combat the wide receiver in arm argument, Georgia Tech has been very good at just, first of all, recruiting high-level athletes for the wide receiver position and also developing those just super raw athletes into sharpened and toned wide receivers. So yes, losing him hurts, but I think they're not going to replace him, but I think they get close and you see a breakout star just come out and be the next, like, 1 to 2 guy in their backcourt.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate it. I could see them getting a top 25 spot. I would say some other teams that would be on my snub list. I definitely would have Utah on there with Devin Dampier, the New Mexico State transfer, because he brought his offensive coordinator with him. The New Mexico State offensive coordinator play caller is now at Utah with Dampier this season. I think it's going to be a match made in heaven. If he can turn down the turnovers a little bit, I think he's going to be great. And then also Louisville with Miller Moss. If Miller Moss can take kind of that same Tyler Shuck development path that Jeff Brom was able to do, I like them to make some noise as well.
And then, real quickly before we move on from snubs and everything, just because it's a hot topic, so we'll cover it today while we have a chance. Gruden has been speaking about coming to an SEC school. He's had the he has said he would like to come to an SEC school. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. I think that really ultimately depends on Bill Belichick this year.
Yeah, man, just means more, man.
I think if Bill Belichick is lights out this year, I think you see maybe someone go out for Gruden. He's been linked to Auburn a lot. I'm not pushing that.
Oh, please no.
Do you think he ends up coaching, and do you think it's an SEC school next year?
I would be very surprised if John Gruden came into a current college football position. I just don't think that's a coaching style that's compatible with the current NIL landscape of college football.
But some argue the complete opposite and say it's pretty much free agency.
I think there's a difference because instead of professional athletes who, when you're in those negotiations, they're 25 or 30 years old, it's a literal 18-year-old kids.
Yes, but those 18-year-old kids, just like the pros now, have very high-dollar agents.
Also, how many of those 18-year-old kids are going to say, oh, I could go play for Kirby Smart or Dan Lanning? Oh, no, I'm going to go play for John Gruden at wherever the heck, Mississippi State or Kentucky.
That's been a problem with college football since the beginning. You're never, even without NIL and transfer portal, if you had the option, you were always going to go to the top dog. I mean, that's always been a thing. I mean, everyone's going to struggle with that. Bill Belichick's going to struggle with that. I mean, that's just the landscape of the sport itself. That's got nothing to do with Gruden as who he is.
I think something that people aren't thinking about with that either. This is going to sound crazy, but how many high school athletes, current high school athletes, remember like prime John Gruden? Like they're so young,
right? But I mean, when it comes to recruiting these college students, the most impressionable person on them is their parents, more specifically their dad if it's a male sport, and probably the mom if it's a female sport. But
I don't know. You'd be surprised how many players it's a lot of mom driven as well.
Right, but as far as like football talk, like if their dad remembers John Gruden, which he probably does, I think he's going to be talking to him like, dude, it was great, this and that. So they're very at an impressionable state, and their parents can really sway them a lot.
I just don't see it working out.
I don't think he's a coach either. Ultimately, because I think he's enjoying his environment. He's got the job with Barstool now. I just think he's going to choose that. I think he's going to look at it. I think he says that now because if when you're a coach, you're always a coach and you always want to coach. But he says that now. But I think once he sits down and looks at what all he has to like do and go through, he's probably going to be like, no, this Barstool thing's pretty cool. So that's my take on that. I don't think he'll actually be a coach. I think there's a lot of talking. Barstool's an engagement for him anyways, and they're pretty good at it. So that's why we're talking about it. But on the national championship pick, these are just two teams who we think is playing each other in the national championship. I didn't look at your thing until just now, and I'm kind of shocked. So why don't you start?
All right. Are we picking a winner too, or are we just saying the matchup?
We'll tease the winner, but we won't say it. We'll keep that for next week when we have our full.
All right, fine. Thing. So you won't get the winner until next week. But mine is Clemson versus Penn State. And firstly, Penn State, because I know people are going to say, "Oh, James Franklin's never making it to a national championship." He was pretty darn close last year, and I know the loss of Abdul Carter is massive for that team, but I think you gain a lot back on the offense too. With Drew Aller, who I really like, I think he has a lot of great traits. If you can develop him into a little bit more reliable player, he's going to be incredible. And with the running game he has to lean on with Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, they are just going to be absolutely incredible. I do think this slightly depends on them not drawing the same half of the bracket that Ohio State is in, because I think if those two match up, I would pick the Buckeyes, but I do think the other team I have in here is good enough to beat the Buckeyes if they drew that side, and that is the Clemson Tigers. I think top to bottom, this is the most complete roster in college football this season. Quarterback, you have Cade Klubnik. You have a great freshman running back in Gideon Davidson, and then you're moving Adam Randall back to the backfield, who is a solid receiver who I think has a great skill set at the running back position. The receiver trio with Antonio Williams, Bryant Wesco Jr., TJ Moore, they're incredible. It's a very solid, experienced offensive line. There's multiple top 10 picks on this defensive line with Peter Woods and TJ Parker. Sammy Brown is a one-man wrecking crew at linebacker for this Clemson team. And then in the secondary, you have AJ Terrell's younger brother, Avion, who is another lockdown corner for this Clemson team. Just everywhere you look, there's star talent and there's depth. And anytime you have a team with both those, that's a team that's going to make it a long way. And I really like this Clemson team. Cade Klubnik played very well last season, was very good at taking care of the football. I think he takes another jump this season, becomes an even more explosive player, and Clemson makes the title game.
Yeah, I think Clemson is very much your ACC championship winner. Clemson's one of those teams that it's like it'd be really beneficial to see them play, and I think you'll know who they are very quickly in the season. And
They're
you'll
beating LSU by at least 10.
And you'll be able to know this team's legit or this team's just decent like they were last year. But I'm not sold on them yet. I am shocked you don't have a team I have in here, which is Texas. I think I even wrote it on your thing.
You did.
Because when we were talking,
and I backspaced it.
When we were talking the other day, we were both talking about like teams, and I got the impression that you just thought Texas was.
That's because you asked me who I thought was going to win the SEC this year.
That is true, but
spoilers.
I think Texas. They're really talented. Arch Manning, honestly, his play a lot like Clemson. It'd be really beneficial to see it, and you'll know very early on who he is. Like if he's worth the talk we've all given him, or if he's not.
Also, I think Texas has two of the best 3 players on the defensive side of the football possibly in the country. Maybe I'd say 2 of the best 5. I would say Parker and Woods for Clemson are up there too. Obviously, Caleb Downs, but Anthony Hill Jr. at linebacker and then Colin Simmons off the edge for Texas are both freaks.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, you want to talk about like this is like old school. Like this is the type of defense that if it was in the NFL would be named. Like this defense is going to be stout and legit in college football. Defense is still king. Like if you can stop a team from doing whatever cutesy stuff their random head coach has written up in his board when he was bored at practice one day, then because that's all college football is pretty much. Then you're going to stop them. And Texas is going to stop that. They're not going to put up with your bull crap. Just to put it bluntly, that defense is going to be awesome, and it's going to be my favorite thing to watch all year because I'm a big defensive guy.
Love Texas. Me some Michael Taft too. Michael Taft. Is
so I have Texas for Texas reasons. That's why they're there.
Who are they playing?
They're playing. This one I honestly kind of struggled with because I was like, well, you gotta kind of balance it to see who gets who on which side of the bracket, because no matter what side Texas was on, they were going through. So kind of I went back and forth with a few teams, and then I was just like, you know what, vibes. Like I feel like every time we've made a vibes pick in the history of this show, it's just worked out. So I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, that's why Kyle Busch wins every NASCAR race. Every time we pick Kyle Busch, it's on vibes, and it never works.
Well, I think all of our NASCAR picks are vibes, so I'm just not counting that sport. that's like 1 versus 36. Like this is a little. I mean, obviously, I'm picking a national championship contender before the season starts, so it's practically the same thing. But Oregon's that team. Oregon's the vibes team.
You know, Evan Stewart's possibly out for the year, right?
Oregon's the vibes team. So we're gonna go on vibes. Dan Lanning is the vibes guy. So I think Dante Moore being in what they've called a competitive quarterback battle. I don't know how competitive it was. I think Dante Moore is like the favorite.
I think there's an issue if Dante Moore is in a competitive quarterback battle because that means you're getting UCLA Dante Moore, and that guy loved throwing the ball to the other
Dan
team.
Lanning loves being very secretive about his quarterbacks and always being like, well, you know, we don't really know, but he does know. And I don't think it's as competitive as they say. But just having that media spotlight on Dante Moore and having all that pressure that like he may know in the practice games that he's the guy, but everyone watching doesn't. Like every journalist and media guy or fan who's watching the preseason or the practice or whatever, they don't know he's the guy. So he's got all that pressure on him, and he knows he's got that pressure on him from the fans and the media. And I just think that's going to help him in the college football environment and landscape we have this year. This was a team that went very deep last year. Could have gone deeper. But, I mean, Ohio State was a buzzsaw.
Yeah, they were great. I will say for Oregon, I love the Mekhi Hughes addition. He was a dog last year at Tulane. And if you want a guy to take some of the pressure off of Dante Moore, just hand it to Mekhi Hughes 20 to 25 times a game and let him go to work because he's going to be able to absolutely do that versus most defenses you go up against. It's a fairly solid Oregon offensive line this year. Mm-hmm. So I think Mekhi Hughes
I think the offensive line is the exact same. They returned almost everybody, I think.
It's very good.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of almost a complete package just with the different pieces.
You got Mateo Uiagalelei off the edge, the much better Uiagalelei brother.
Yeah, that was an experiment.
Have they tried DJ on the edge? Maybe he's better there.
Have they tried him at Waterboy? I think this is next. I think he's covered everything. But what else you got? Is that it?
Not much. Speaking of covering everything, as you've said,
bang.
That is it for your first college football episode of GTD of the 2025 season. like we said, we'll be back next week for our full playoff predictions, some awards predictions for you. If you want to see our NASCAR recap from Richmond, that's already out on the channel. We'll have NASCAR predictions for Daytona, as well as our weekly MLB episode coming soon as well over the next couple days. But thank you for tuning in. That's been Keegan. I've been Micah. Do make sure to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the videos, and we'll see y'all next time.